lot of talk the last couple weeks has been about Sincere and what he's been able to do in the running game. I guess, what have you seen from him? In particular, his ability in the pass game. He seems to be pretty good in, understanding blitz pickups and that sort of thing too.
Yeah, I think, just really a guy that prepared for his opportunity. He's made the most of it in every aspect. I mean, when you're a running back in this league, you got to do more than just carry the ball. Obviously, he's done a really good job of doing that, getting north and south, making the first guy miss, getting kind of some extra yards, some dirty runs that have really helped us, stay ahead of the sticks at times. And then, his assignments in the pass game, whether it's in pass pro or being where he needs to be as an outlet. But no, I think really happy with him, happy for him too. When personal level, the guy that gets his opportunity, it's really cool when you see him make the most of it. And just got to keep going, keep getting better and better. And that's how he approaches it every day.
From an OC standpoint, what are you looking from Aiden this week to be able to get him back on the field?
Really, that really is kind of out of my hands. I mean, they're going to ask my opinion, how I see him, but that really, it's going to be the trainers, how he's able to move, and then obviously AP will make the final decision with all the information. But just, he's got to be able to go to practice and show that he's going to be able to move and play, so he can protect himself and obviously be successful playing football.
Was there much of a change in the game plan between Ritter and Aiden in terms of prep this week?
Why would you say that? I'm kidding. They're different type players. Obviously, that was a joke. I mean, I think you try to play to your guys' strengths. So we'll be ready. We're kind of, like I said, we're going to wait and refer to the trainers and doctors and see with Aiden. But we'll kind of do a couple different things. We'll have basically two type of plans ready to play to each guy's strength, depending on which way it goes.
Is it more of a challenge preparing? I mean, everybody prepares every week. Obviously, we talk about that all the time. But if two guys are working toward potentially being a starter, is that more of a challenge for you preparing?
I think so. I mean, there's always going to be challenges, but you want those guys to feel comfortable, and you want to put them in position to do things that they do well. So whenever there's a little bit of you're undecided, then it's just a little more work you got to put in to be ready.
Scott, the Atlanta Falcons have struggled this season with speedy receivers that run routes really well. What are your thoughts on Trey Tucker, and what do you see for him going forward?
I think Trey, again, a young guy that's done well. He obviously had the big play against Kansas City. I think he's going to continue to get better, and we know we got our other guys, but I think just seeing Trey work and hopefully continues to grow, and I think he'll have some good opportunities in this game against Atlanta.
I think people maybe forget about Jakobi Meyers sometimes, just how good he is. I know he right now is the first receiver this century with 95 targets without a drop. I mean, just what have you just seen from him in general as a guy who's been the leader of that room?
Yeah, so Jakobi, I didn't know Jakobi at all until last year, and I tell people this all the time, like he's one of my favorite players I've ever been around. His professionalism and his work, and then his level of toughness is really unmatched at any position, but especially receiver. And he doesn't really say a lot, but guys know he's serious. He's one of those guys that when he does talk, everybody listens. And those guys, those young guys in the room, they follow him. And on offense, they see what he does, and they see how he's an example of, what a pro is supposed to look like. And not only in your work ethic, but also just your attitude, and a lot of resilience. And obviously, undrafted, everything he's gotten, he's earned through hard work. And, we know we can count on Jakobi at all times, and whether it's blocking or running routes or everything, like he has a certain level of pride to him that he holds himself to a standard that it's higher than anything that any of us could hold him to.
When a guy's that hard of a worker, he does all those little things you talked about. That's what everybody says about him all the time. He does whatever it takes. Like, do we forget about the high end receiving ability sometimes? Or just
I think so. And I'm not trying to take away from that. I mean, he that's just his competitiveness of like going and getting the ball, and he's got the savviness in his route running and releases, and all those things that you see on tape. But I think just I just want to make the point of really what takes him over the top is just why everyone knows they can always depend on him is just what you see. I mean, what you see on game day is just a small fraction of what we see on a day-to-day basis from Jakobi.
How much can you gather from Desmond Ritter in terms of the personnel of the Atlanta Falcons? Obviously, different defensive coordinator, but personnel-wise.
Yeah, scheme's different. But, we've had good conversations about some of the guys that are, then around. A lot of times it's like confirms what you already know because the tape's a tape. You're late in the season. I mean, we've seen there's a lot of tape on these guys, but yeah, he might have some stuff that he saw in practice that we didn't necessarily see, or he would say something he saw in practice and said, "Oh yeah, I saw that." You know what I mean? But we've had some good conversations throughout the week about different players.
When you look at the Atlanta Falcons defense, their secondary in particular, what are some things that stand out, and how much attention, would you expect for them to put on a guy like Brock Bowers, considering the last couple of weeks, every defense has put their top corner on him?
Yeah, for sure. I don't know. They match they match AJ Terrell. And again, whether that's going to be on Jakobi when he's outside, and then if we put Brock out, he'll go on Brock instead. I mean, we'll find that out as the game goes on. The safeties are high level players. Jesse Bates and then Jeremy Simmons. Those are big time guys, and we know that we got to plan. Be ready for them. But it's a really good secondary, and they play well together. I know they've given up some big plays, but most teams do at times in the NFL. And but no, got a lot of respect for them and those players.
Additionally, with that, Matthew Judon, another guy who's been a top edge rusher in the league. How big of a task do you think that's going to be for a young player like DJ Glaze, and also with how many guys he's already gone up against? Do you believe that he's welcome for another challenge like that?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I got a lot of faith in TJ, but he's got to be ready. I mean, they got a good front. They play really hard. They're real active up front. They do a nice job, with the defensive coaches getting those guys ready to play, and they'll. All of our guys get to be ready for just the different looks they're going to get, but also just they play hard and they're going to be ready to go. They're fighting to win a division, so and I know they've had a couple tough games, but they're going to be coming ready to go, and we got to be ready.
Adam?
We know what Brock can do, obviously, but how good was it to see Michael have the kind of game that he did, and then follow to that, like, what has it been like to have him just back in the building and being around again?
Mike's a great guy again. Like, guys are happy to have him here. Really works hard, and just to have to he's done it. He's really played well. It doesn't show up in the stat sheet because a lot of it's been blocking, and he's done some good stuff for him. But just for us, but just to see him have a few catches, I know he was excited about that. That was good. That was good to see, and we're going to need everybody, like we've talked about before, with games where Trey and Jakobi had huge games because against Denver, but we always need different guys to step up, and it just makes it harder for us to be defended. Okay, thank you guys.